One thing that I want to talk about before we get to more questions is transitions and how we sort of make it seamless as a band. And one great example from last night is we're doing Waiting Here for You with Christy. It's in E flat. Our next song is in D. Those are not complementary keys.
No.
So I just want to just review kind of how that transition happened and when things like that come up, because a lot of people, especially starting out, they want to only create sets that have keys that work together.
Right.
So when you have those moments where it's like, we're stuck, what can we do? Let's just talk about how we kind of feather that moment and make that transition happen. You guys want to?
Yeah. Well, obviously, we'll play something for you. You guys want to play a little bit of, let's play just the end of Waiting. Waiting here for you, da-da-da-da-da.
E flat.
What do we end on? We end on the 4 chord.
The 4. So we're going from A flat at the end of the song.
An A flat
to D. That's a tritone apart.
To a D.
So how are we gonna make that happen?
Last night, Daniel, and I lean on Daniel a ton, because a lot of times the keyboard player gets the. Is all this cool, Steve? Yeah, a lot of times the keyboard player gets the job of trying to transition stuff with pads and stuff. Daniel is brilliant at finding a common tone in the key, and I'm sure a lot of you do this, but find a common tone in the key that we're coming from. So in E flat, if we're going to D, that D is a 7, like a major 7 kind of thing, and you'll hear Daniel kind of do something like this, where he's doing this like reverby thing, and so although we're coming from this sound, I can click into the next, what is it? Lord, I Need You, right? Is that where we're going? Did you hear this click in the house? No. We can get there by I can count, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And because he's already established that D in your mind, even though you barely heard it, it was just this little thing. And I can hint at that too on keys with pads and stuff. But by me counting in, Travis did a little, something to kind of smooth over. We also plan it a lot around, if you guys are applauding or something like that, that's an awesome time. Take advantage of people enjoying themselves and clapping, because that'll smooth it over.
That's great.
Sounds awesome, yeah.
Can we put that in context? Let's maybe play the last chorus
of
Waiting Here for You, so we get a feel for E flat and then get to D more than just the note.
So the big chorus, waiting here for you with our hands, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Let's end on that 4, okay? Well, actually, we did a down chorus, didn't we? So here's Christy singing, waiting here for you. Kind of just parked there on this, and I might have hinted at that major 7, that D, doing that, and then Daniel will do his little prettiness, and then I'll count out the next thing, and 1, 2, 3. So which should have been like an absolute train wreck, going from E flat to D, get there kind of smooth. I want to play this song now. This sounds wonderful. You are beautiful.
There are times that works even better. Like that's a kind of a.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough sell.
Because we're doing.
Sometimes we're ending in if we're in B and we're ending on a 4 chord, that would be like an E chord. And if you're moving into the key of E, then you can just guitar players, you can just kind of hang out on your like a big, just a lot of E stuff and then you're in the right key, it's a piece of cake. So it's not always that hard of a sell, but that was a tricky one last night. And Matt and I didn't even talk about because we, have a working relationship and we talk through all this stuff all the time. I can anticipate what he's gonna want a little help with, or vice versa. So he was ending that thing, and I was like, I think I know what's gonna help us get to the next. And I just kind of started floating up, and I could kind of feel him bringing in the pad of the new key, and it all made sense. But
Yeah, you're right. Going from that 4 is extra tough. It would
Extra
actually
tough.
be
Yeah,
easier.
you're making a move that's a tritone away, so that's
Yeah.
the most difficult
It's a weird
transition.
one.
So I hope that's helpful. I hope, it's funny though, because he said when you're in a different key, then guitar players, you just hit a few buttons and it's magic. So if anybody else caught that, that's great too. But the point is that that's something that you should rehearse,
Yeah.
right? Find a way, when you have a transition like that could be potentially awkward. Okay, we know the songs, that's great. But the win for our team is not just to know the songs and play all the right chords at the right time, right? The win is to take people on a journey, and most of that happens through transitions. And so being aware of what those potentially awkward moments are gonna look like and feel like, man, I would spend more time on that than I would on running the song again.
Yeah.
Because you get to the heart of the song and it's like, oh yeah, we got this.
Right.
But it's that glue.
But when you lose it in those transitions,
Right. Then you got to figure out how to get people back on board with what you're doing.
And we've all been there, I'm sure, in a service where, man, it just didn't work between those two songs. And sometimes it just went too fast. Like the song ended and it felt like we were in a big old fat hurry to get to the next song. And that's usually on the musical director, because if you have somebody on a whisper mic, how many of you guys use a mic like this in church where you have a band leader that's helping do these transitions? Yeah. Well, Todd and I talked about this yesterday. If you get a chance, especially if you're using tracks and stuff like that, somebody that has a sense of where things need to go and has the relationship with the worship leader and his ear and knows where he wants to head. Man, if you could have somebody on one of these that just kind of smooth out, let people know, hey guys, we're going to Lord, I Need You, and it's in D, in 3, 4, and then get us to the new key. That kind of stuff. Everybody on the stage is watching the worship leader, and they should be, but sometimes he's not doing this when he wants the downbeat, Sometimes he's feeling it, and we could get to the key beforehand. And so if there's somebody here that can kind of navigate that process with everybody, it is super helpful.
That's great.
One thing that you do great in that, Matt, that would be useful is if the worship leader wants to kind of bail on the guitar and just talk for a minute, he'll just, because the transition thing is helpful, but it's also helpful in a moment of prayer or offering time or something where you're not really sure what you're going to play, and you're not all looking at each other what's going to happen. He'll just say, hey, let's play through that chorus again, but real light. And he'll be 2, 3, 4, and then we all kind of just come back in. Then it fills that space, and it sounds like we rehearsed it, but really he's just telling us what to do.
I'm just making up stuff. 2 chord. No, that wasn't great. 6 chord. And these guys just, they'll go anywhere. They're awesome.